Don in London, hello, it's April 15th, 2009. My video is all about recovery from addiction. And recovery from addiction for me is about substance and behaviour. My addictive substance was alcohol, my behaviour, workaholic, drinkaholic, gymaholic, relationshipaholic, any ism you can possibly imagine. And driven by fear, 1,000 forms of fear probably. Putting on a brave face and full of ego. But you know what? Ego is very brittle and it breaks. And if we don't have any ego and we don't have any self-esteem, we're probably in a pit of depression and we don't know how to get out of it. And I guess that's where I ended up really, with alcohol as my best friend, my higher power, the thing which was keeping me alive and was slowly killing me. I think that's a good way of describing it. You know, it was keeping me alive and in the game of life to an extent. At the same time, it was killing me, and it probably meant that I was doing a lot of things which I did to fit in, because if I were to fit in, then I could drink myself into oblivion when I felt badly about what was going on. And I had occasion this morning to remember what it's like to be going to work to a place where it's just blinking well awful, and suddenly you find yourself in a situation which you never thought you would be in, and that is unable to work at all, because whatever's going on in your head, you can't shut out the noise, and we break down. And I had a nervous breakdown in 1996. Sounds like a long time ago, but you know what? Some of the impact of that still resonates today. And the reason is, when we break ourselves completely, in whatever fashion, with our emotional, spiritual and physical attributes, life is very tough, and coming back from a place like that is not easy. So now life is different, and I didn't really get into drinking 24/7 until many years after the nervous breakdown, but it was a starting point for a breakdown completely, which then led to a different sort of living. And these days, what do? I do something useful. I learn how to love people and be loved back. And that's the gift really, in sobriety. And what makes that possible for me is the fellowship of AA, that's Alcoholics Anonymous. I speak about how it helps me, but I don't speak as a person representing it. Nobody is out there representing AA as a single entity, and maybe long may be so, because separate entities or single people who share their experience, strength and hope can also experience disasters as well. So if I were to go out back drinking, I wouldn't be a very good example, would I? Or would I be a good example? Because my philosophy these days is, if I were to relapse or slip into drink again, I need to get back to the fellowship pretty darn quickly, or the outcome is very, very dangerous for me. That is, I lose my emotional, spiritual and physical well-being very, very quickly, and I don't want to do that. So I go to AA, and it helps me. And at the beginning of each meeting, of which there are 700 here in London, or more, I'm not quite sure how many there are, but it's certainly around 700, maybe slightly less. I have choices. I have a choice to go get the experience, strength and hope, share a bit of wisdom, or get some wisdom back. And we get wisdom from the newcomer who comes on their first day, through to the person who's been there for 40 years and hasn't had a drink. But one day counts, and it's just this one day. Anyway, the AA preamble shared at every meeting gives the game away and what these videos are about. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution. It does not wish to engage in any controversy, and certainly doesn't engage in my videos. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes, all my videos. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And I say that with a smile, because, you know, some people won't like my videos because they feel that I'm, I don't know, speaking out of turn because of anonymity. I've worked it out for me. Spiritual is truth, the ability to find the truth of now in an open, honest way. And anonymity, in my early days, afforded me a safe haven, a sanctuary. So anonymity, the sanctuary to find the truth of me. So the gift really is, if we're out there one day at a time making life work, well, it's a privilege to still be alive, and I relish life, even when it's as dark and depressing as it can get. And the first 3 months of this year I didn't realise just how far down I had fallen until I started to come up the other side again. So one of my other ailments, if you like, on a long-term basis is clinical depression, and that needs medical and professional help and support, which I get, and that's because I can keep sober. But if I took a drink, you know what, I'd start hiding and isolating and excluding myself from anything which would keep me to the good of living. In my videos, as you probably know if you see them regularly, or if you don't see them regularly, I use these books like this, Daily Reflections, AA Literature it's called, Daily Page, just to set the tone for the day maybe, and As Bill Sees It. And Bill Wilson was the co-founder, and I also dip into this book, The 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, and the 12 steps are about our action program for individuals, and the 12 traditions are about how we keep the fellowship going and make it easy to join it and easy to leave it. So whether you're a supporter or a knocker, it doesn't matter really. If you get to AA and it works for you, if you get to AA and it doesn't work for you, there are alternatives out there, and you can find it on the right of this video where it says aboutalcoholism.com. And there are many good websites out there sharing experience, strength of hope, how to keep sober. So AA is not the only way. It doesn't suit everybody. Why should it? It can't be everything to everybody. Anyway, for April 15th in the Daily Reflections, which is all about step 4, the Fearless Moral Inventory, sorting out our assets and liabilities and how we need to move forward. It says here, the bondage of resentments. Harbouring resentment is infinitely grave, for then we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. It goes on to say, it has been said, anger is a luxury I cannot afford. Does this suggest I ignore this human emotion? I believe not. Before I learned of the AA program, I was a slave to the behaviour patterns of alcoholism. I was chained to negativity with no hope of cutting loose. The steps offered me an alternative. Step 4 was the beginning of the end of my bondage. The process of letting go started with an inventory. I needed not to be frightened, for the previous steps assured me that I was not alone. My higher power led me to this door and gave me the gift of choice. Today I can choose to open the door to freedom and rejoice in the sunlight of the steps as they cleanse the spirit within me. And you know what? The spirit within us is truth. And if we get to the truth, we're onto a winner, because we can see the truth of now, what is around us, and how are we relating to it. So the gift is in step 4. We let go the isolation, the exclusion, the fear, the ego, the brave face, and move maybe towards those things which will keep us living in the moment. Courage, faith and confidence. And you know what? It's good to share about these things, because if we don't know where we are, and we don't get any new wisdom. So the whole program is all about new wisdom and living for me. Living in the moment. If I go too far forwards, I just lose it completely. Excuse me. As Bill Sees It on page 77. RSVP, yes or no. Usually we do not avoid a place where there is drinking, if we have a legitimate reason for being there. That includes bars, nightclubs, dances, receptions, weddings, even plain ordinary parties. You will note that we made an important qualification. Therefore ask yourself, have I any good social, business or personal reason for going to this place, or am I expecting to steal a little vicarious pleasure from the atmosphere? Then go or stay away, whichever seems better. But be sure you are on solid spiritual ground before you start, and that your motive is going is thoroughly good. Do not think of what you will get out of the occasion. Think of what you can bring to it. If you are shaky, you had better work with another alcoholic instead. And you know what? That's extremely good advice. Work with another alcoholic instead, always, for me, I suspect. So when I say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, I'm better off in a meeting, just one day at a time.